the only way I could find myself was through putting myself through the worst thing possible. Being so disciplined, it started off honestly with recognizing that my bedroom was dirty. My bed wasn't made. I lived a sloppy life. So I took very small increments in my life. I started making my bed. I started cleaning my room. There were dishes in the sink. It started off with doing small house chores. I saw that the yard needed to be mowed. So instead of being told it needed to be mowed, I would mow it. I started doing things coming outside of my lazy ways to become better. And through a period of time, your brain doesn't like it, but it starts to realize this is a new way of thinking. We are now doing things that we are uncomfortable doing. We are doing things that we don't want to do. So the brain starts to slowly grow. And let's say you don't like to get up early in the morning time to go run. I hated it. I still hate it. You do that. You live uncomfortable to gain growth. You have to have friction in your life to gain growth. And the only way to do that is to make yourself uncomfortable and get to the point where instead of running from the things you don't want to do, you actually face them and start to gain more and more growth in your life. So that's how I approach all those things. But the best thing that happened to me, no one helped me. No one felt sorry for me. No one looked at me and said, like this day and age, they'll take you in and they'll tell everybody, stop picking on this person. Back then, they didn't care. The KKK marched in our 4th of July parades. They had to stay 100 yards back, but they marched in it. That's how this town was. And my mom cared about me, but my dad took our soul. And she did the best she could. I had to figure out I wasn't gonna be a punk kid all my life. So the only way I could turn around was to suffer. I had to build calluses in my brain the same way I built calluses on my hands. So I broke the Guinness Book of World Records for pull-ups a long time ago, but I failed at it twice. And I did 67,000 pull-ups in trying to break this record. So to do 4,030 pull-ups, I had to do 67,000 for training for that. And so what I realized is for me to become the man I wanted to become, I saw myself as the weakest person God ever created. But I never blamed God for anything He did to me. So I wanted to change that to be the hardest man ever created. Am I that? I don't know, but you had to have a goal. And my goal when I was sitting there, not going to school, being bullied, having no self-esteem, my goal was the only person that's gonna turn this person around is me. The only way I can turn it around is put myself through the worst things possible a human being can ever endure. And that'd be the only way that I can build this brain to handle anything that comes in front of it, callousing my mind through pain and suffering. I have a gift. It's not a gift of gab. It's just a gift of saying, look, man, I'm vulnerable. I'm very, very human. I'm not God's gift. I'm not Superman. I'm not Batman. I'm not even Robin. But I did figure out some things along my journey. So if I kept myself introverted and closed in, no one would ever, realize, man, that big, hard, tough guy over there, man, he's just some superhuman, and they put a title on me. This way, I have to break myself down, let people know that anyone can be who they want to be. And the starting point was this very scared, immature, fragile kid. But through figuring out this fragile kid, I found out, well, shit. Through all this fucking muck and shit, this can come out the other end. A person that has 4,030 pull-ups, who runs miles and miles and miles at a time. But we all have these abilities, not just to run and do pull-ups, but these abilities that once we go back into our dark holes, that a lot of us have. A lot of us come from, insecurities, a lot of issues, but we don't want to visit that place. Place is scary. Place is something that we want to forget about. I had the courage, finally, to go back in there and organize that shit. Get it organized in my mind and figure out, where to start from. So, but the journey led me to the so-called superhuman stuff that I do now. Keep it simple, stupid, man. And that's how life is. We overthink things, and next thing you know, this very simple thing, screw the light bulb in. becomes very hard. Just screw the fucker in, man. No, just screw the fucker in. That's it. You're done. And that's how my life is now. Screw the fucking light bulb in, man. Let's go. So if you can always live in a very uncomfortable mindset, if you can always live very uncomfortable, it becomes part of your life. And I didn't sleep very much, but that became my life, being very uncomfortable. And when they pulled me out of being uncomfortable, and I got very comfortable for that week, when they pulled me from training due to sickle cell, I realized I never want to go back to being uncomfortable again. So I'm thinking that they're going to medically drop me from the program for sickle cell. So I'm getting kind of relaxed. My mind's getting real relaxed. This is why people don't understand the true power of being uncomfortable. When that mind gets relaxed, man, you are fucked. And I sat back getting relaxed thinking, man, I'm getting out of the program. I'm good to go. They're going to medically disqualify me from the military. I'm getting out of here. But I didn't quit. That was my big saving grace. I didn't quit. They're going to kick me out and it's not my fault. So a week later, I go back to the doc, and the doc says, we're gonna put you back in the training. And my fucking mouth dropped to the floor. And I was like, oh shit. So as I'm walking back to the compound to talk to my commanding officer, I'm thinking to myself, hey man, you only got about 2.5 weeks left. You can tough this out, man. You know, I was kind of rechanging my brain. Okay, man, let's get back into the suck. Let's get back into the suck. 2.5 weeks, we can do this, man. I walk back in the office and he goes, hey, I'm glad you're back in the training, man. You're a hard dude. I know there weren't hardly any blacks in the whole, I was the only black in the program. So I knew that I was gonna be good for the program, stuff like that. And he was talking about that. And he said, but you gotta start back from day one. And when I heard that, my mind wasn't strong enough to handle that. So I went back to my old ways and I said, I gotta get the fuck out of here, man. I can't even imagine doing this again for another, it's a 10-week program. I said, I can't do this. So I went back to my lying ways and I sat there in front of that man and I said, hey, Sergeant Lundberg, the doc wasn't for sure about what was going on. He talked about sudden death, talked about stroke, talked about heart attack due to sickle cell, and they put me back in the training and I don't feel real comfortable with any of this. So I made him believe me. And he got me out of training on a medical. And versus me quitting, on my record at pararescue training, it says I got kicked out of pararescue for medical. I knew that I lied. I knew that it was because of the water. I couldn't see myself going back to that training for another 10 weeks, going through all that water confidence and going back to the pool every single day. It was called the Cone Dome. The Cone Dome. Couldn't go back to the Cone Dome for 10 weeks and get put in that water to be uncomfortable. But I had the quitting mind. I didn't see it as a high-speed job. I saw that it wasn't pararescue. And I went from 175 pounds to 297 pounds in about 3 years. I started lifting weights. I started hiding myself. And I hid myself in a very big body. I hid that 175-pound man in a very big body. And I started eating a lot of food and lifting a lot of heavy weights. And I started looking very intimidating. So if I couldn't be a hard guy mentally, I was gonna look very intimidating physically. And that's what happened.